Can you talk more about how the marketing for B2B is different than the marketing for, B2C?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of differences between the business to consumer and the business to business marketing. There's definitely some similarities. And I would say at the end of the day, everyone's got some sort of pain that they need to find a solution for. And that's, 9 times out of 10, people are going to Google and that's where they're starting. So that's a positive from that experience. But on the B2B side, it's typically in general a longer sales cycle. Where the consumer, it's more of an instant gratification purchase. So you'll see, advertisements, radio, TV commercials, billboards, and just ads in all your social channels for that instant buy now type messaging. Where on the B2B side of things, it's more of building that brand awareness and establishing trust. That's going to be more important as opposed to the sign up for this information or schedule an appointment or whatever right now. You have to establish some credibility for someone to even consider having a conversation with you in the B2B side.
Welcome to the Analytical Rewired, the best place to discuss various obstacles, limitations, challenges, behaviors, and how to overcome them in business. We deep dive into the complexities of people, processes, data, and technology, PPDT, adopting our focus to be either technical or creative expressions, and how to balance the two. The Analytical Rewired is brought to you by the MJW Group, a performance improvement and leadership development boutique management consulting firm that helps companies save time and money leveraging operational excellence. Our mission is to enable your organization to be more successful by refining overarching strategies into detailed plans to be implemented, generate creative and technical solutions for your operational challenges, augment and supplement your existing teams, and help you create processes that allow you to be more efficient with the resources you have. You can learn more about the MJW Group on our website at themjwgrp.com.
Welcome to the Analytical Rewired. I am your host, Jennifer White, CEO of the MJW Group, and I have my co-host here with me, Sarah Ashley. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, not too bad. I'm excited for today's guest. We've known each other for a little over 2 years now. We met during the pandemic. That seems to be the theme, at least for me. A lot of the guests we've been having on is through the nurturing of relationships on our social media channels. And so Lori Highby is here with Keystone Click. How are you, Lori?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just tell us a little bit about Keystone Click, what you do, what you offer, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Sure. So Keystone Click is a strategic digital marketing agency. I started the company in 2008, and we really focus on helping our clients build their brand awareness and generate leads online. We do that by conducting research on behalf of our clients to help them better understand their customer. And then once we do the research, we build a strategy, a strategic marketing plan, and then we support the full implementation of that plan.
Awesome. So from 2008, wow, you guys have been going on for a while now.
Yeah, 14 years right now. It's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome. That's
but
awesome.
You don't just work with everyone, right, Lori? You have a specific niche market that you're targeting.
Yeah, we actively target the industrial manufacturing industry. We do have a lot of professional services more in the B2B space that we work with, and then a random niche that's very much word of mouth and education.
Awesome. Yeah, so what kind of got you into the digital strategy, and then how did you kind of narrow your audience down to that specific, the industrial
manufacturing? Sure.
The industrial manufacturing.
Yeah. So when I started the company in 2008, we actually started strictly as a website design and development firm. And then people would be coming to me saying, "Hey, how do I get found in Google, or should I be on Facebook?" And I would say, "Absolutely," and tell them what to do. And then they'd come back and say, "Well, can you do it for me?" And well, sure, why not? So there's opportunity there. So after a couple of years being really heavy project focused, we shifted the positioning of the business to building long-term relationships, but more so from a strategic standpoint. Because what I've learned over time is a lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, can you manage my Facebook for me?" And yeah, we can do that. But then I'd start asking questions like, "Well, why do you want to be on Facebook? There's so many other channels out there, and how do you know that that's where your customer is?" And I'd hear things like, "Well, I read an article about this, or I went to a conference and this is what they told me to do." And I'm like, "Well, just because you read one article doesn't mean that's the absolute right approach that you should be taking for your business." And that's when we decided to, I want to make sure that whenever we're working with someone, that they're getting the true value out of the relationship that we have, and that we're doing things that are going to have a positive impact. We're not doing things just to do them. And I always tell my team, we're not order takers. If someone comes at me and say, "Can you do this for me?" Sure, we can do it, but is that really the best thing for your business? Is that where you're going to get the most bang for your buck? And what kind of results are you looking for? So that's where the strategic side of things really came into play. And it's definitely been, it was, an evolution over time, but I find that I want to be more confident in the results that we're, the recommendations we're putting in front of our clients. And my team loves that too. They love the research. It's so fun to kind of dig deep into the data to say, "Oh, this is what we're seeing. Therefore, this is what you need to do." And the manufacturing side of things, industrial manufacturing, is a couple reasons why. My dad was in manufacturing, so I kind of grew up in that space, and I'm always fascinated by going into a facility and learning how things are made. I mean, you remember that TV show, How It's Made?
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. You get to go firsthand and see how these amazing things that we take for granted in our daily lives are actually produced. And there's so many cool stories out there. What I'm learning is that a lot of manufacturers are not doing a good job telling their story. And if they're telling their story, it's going to help them to achieve the goals that they have, which is getting new business or getting new employees. I mean, that's a big challenge a lot of people have right now. Well, if you show all the cool things that you're doing and what your culture is like, it's going to help you achieve your goals at the end of the day. So,
yeah,
I agree. We're in similar space because we support the manufacturing and operations management as well. And I think a lot of times people look at it as very boring. I know sometimes I could say, maybe not that interesting, but there are people out there that are interested in what you're doing as a company. So I agree. Take the time to just put it out there. You never know who's interested in learning more about capabilities and features. And there's always people looking for new suppliers. And you may have the capability by just showing them what you do. And it sparks an idea in the customer's head for sure.
Totally. Absolutely.
So I think I know that obviously digital strategy, marketing, I'm sure that blew up kind of during the pandemic. So I would love to kind of hear how you navigated 2020 and how that got you to where you are now.
Sure. So early 2020, I would say the first quarter before everything started shutting down, we were on track to have just the best year ever. A lot of people had that mindset going in. And then once the things started shutting down, there was a couple challenges. We lost some clients because, they were somewhat fearful about what was going to happen to their business. And they were cutting expenses as much as possible. And typically marketing is the area that gets cut first. I wouldn't recommend that though, because you always need to let people know that you exist.
I feel like that's an odd thing to cut first. I'd be like, no, I need more people to see me right now.
And then, a lot of our clients, especially in the manufacturing space, they were able to stay open. So that was helpful. But then the supply chain issues and the people issues started to come around. So we actually had one really nice client long-standing relationship, and they almost shut their business down because the two factors of supply chain and people. They had the orders, but they weren't able to fulfill the orders because both the sourcing the raw materials and the people to get it done. So so the owners of the company were doing literally everything and said, like, we can't do marketing right now. So that was quite unfortunate. But you know, fast forward to maybe another 9-10 months into the pandemic, and you know, people were starting to realize, well, this isn't changing, this isn't going away, and everyone is shopping online, everyone is doing their research online. You know, there's no trade shows, there's no events or conferences. So yes, I need to do something to enhance my website, to enhance my strategy. And I think that's where the strategic part really came in. Like, you know, we've got a budget. We want to be smart with how we use these dollars, because there's so many options that you can use in the digital space. So many different ways to get your message out there. But if you're being strategic about it and really understanding where your customer is, what's the message that's going to resonate and connect with them, and ultimately, what is the biggest pain that they have that you're the solution for, it's a lot easier to say, this is the channel, this is the message, and this is the frequency that we have to get that message out there.
Yeah. And funny enough, like right before the pandemic hit, we could tell that I used to own an e-commerce business, but prior to that, I also managed a boutique, and I could tell it was a brick and mortar, and I could tell that things had started to shift to the online forefront, if you will.
Yep.
So I'd left that and opened my own e-commerce business January of 2020. Then we had a whole entire plan for it. It was for the working woman. We did not go to work in 2020. So we had to completely shift the way that we kind of showed ourselves on socials. Our orders would change. We had to start putting in like immediate orders, which was difficult because of the supply chain. There was nobody there to actually create the immediate clothing that we needed.
Sure.
And so we did end up having to like bring on some people to help us with the like Google Analytics, to kind of help us steer in that general direction. Because I think at that point we were just kind of like throwing things at the wall to see what would happen. And that just wasn't like the best use of our dollars at the time.
Sure. Well, I see a lot of people making that mistake. Actually, a lot of companies, they DIY it, and they do a little bit of research. Like I said, they read an article or they attend a webinar or a conference. And so they're making assumptions based on just the small bits of data that they've had, you know, where engaging someone from a strategic standpoint, you know, they've got experience and they're living in this world daily, every single day. You know, I mean, we're in charge of, and we manage over 100 websites every single day. So we know best practices, we know what's going to convert, we know, you know, how to position things. And I always like to tell people, because I think a lot of people are scared about marketing, especially in the digital space, is that, you know, I wouldn't try to write my own legal contracts. I hired an attorney for that. I mean, yeah, I can go to Google and say, like, how do you write this type of contract? But I don't know if it's actually going to protect me or not. So yes, I go hire the expert. And I very much am an advocate of always hiring for the expertise where you don't have that specific skill set and knowledge.
I agree wholeheartedly. As we continue to grow our team, that's something I keep echoing, you know, because as owners, we have all these bright ideas. And so sometimes I feel like, or the team, I can see their faces when I'm telling them these ideas and they're like, oh my gosh. But I'm like, we can outsource these things. They don't think you have to be the one that's doing it, the execution, but we can go to someone and hire them from that strategic direction that we're going to need. Like that's what we do. That's what people hire us to do for project management, for supply chain consulting. So it's no different for our team to go outsource those things as well, because like you said, I can go in there and find a legal contract, but yeah, is it going to protect me in my state? Right? So there's differences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Certainly changed, I think. I feel like a lot of what I used to do too is, and we've talked about this too, but me and Jennifer, that like reaching out to people and asking them what worked for them isn't necessarily going to work for you. So doing things that make sense for you and your company and making quality products is more important than, oh, well, what worked for you? Maybe that'll work for me. Let me give that a go. That just ends up wasting time. So
yeah. When we work on strategies, one of the buckets that we dive into is the competitors, and we do a full audit and figure out like how is the competitor positioned online? Are they spending money on advertising? What social channels are they on? And a lot of times we actually end up finding that even though the client thought that this was a competitor, the more we dig in, we're like, they're actually going after a completely different target audience than you're going after. So it doesn't even make sense for us to evaluate what they're doing. But the other positive is because we go so deep on that customer research, we typically identify the holes from the competition, and that's where the quick wins are. Like, well, this is what we've learned about the customer, and none of your competitors are doing this. So bingo, this is the path we go down.
Yeah. And that's the most important part, obviously, is just identifying your audience and what resonates with them, and how you can, create that strategy that would appeal to them.
Totally. 100%.
I agree. And Laura, can you talk more about, you were mentioning about strategic relationships, but also B2B. Can you talk more about how the marketing for B2B is different than the marketing for, B2C?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of differences between the business to consumer and the business marketing. There's definitely some similarities. And I would say at the end of the day, everyone's got some sort of pain that they need to find a solution for. And that's, 9 times out of 10, people are going to Google, and that's where they're starting. So that's a positive from that experience. But on the B2B side, it's typically in general a longer sales cycle, where the consumer, it's more of an instant gratification purchase. So you'll see, advertisements, radio, TV commercials, billboards, and just ads in all your social channels for that instant buy now type messaging. Where on the B2B side of things, it's more of building that brand awareness and establishing trust. That's going to be more important as opposed to the sign up for this information or schedule an appointment or whatever. Right now, you have to establish some credibility for someone to even consider having a conversation with you in the B2B side.
Oh my gosh, how many bars did she just drop with that information? That is, oh my gosh, like we probably have to put that on replay, Sarah, when we edit, because
yes.
Because it is like a lot of people don't understand, and even people we've gone to help us with our marketing and our positioning. Like if they've only done B2C, they don't get the B2B model.
Yeah.
And I know that enough that it is a longer sales cycle. People aren't buying the first time they meet you. You may have 5 to 7, sometimes 10 follow-ups just to warm them up, unless they know you through word of mouth or you're a direct referral from someone that you know.
Yeah.
But it takes a longer time to get people aware of you, your credibility, your capability, the value that you bring. And your delivery, I see for us on the side that we're on, delivery is something that's so important to people because they may have outsourced before, and now they're really coming like, I need this to be done now. Like I need help now. Like I need someone that's going to deliver now.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of people that reach out to us saying, okay, can you help us with a lead generating campaign? We need X amount of clients by the end of the year. And I'm just like, well, what else have you done? Like, we've never done anything. Like, okay, this isn't going to work. And here's why. You have to start with brand awareness. You have to build that trust first. Otherwise, are you just going to randomly, schedule an appointment with someone just because you saw one advertisement online for them? No, that's not going to happen. I need to know that you understand me and the pain that I'm experiencing. And then you have to prove to me that you ultimately can solve that problem. If not, I'm not even interested in having a conversation with you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Another bar.
Another one. So Lori, I wanted to know, I guess I know we kind of already talked on it just a hair because obviously you've been in business for a while, but I'd love to know kind of how or one to two things that you've had to do to rewire your thinking about your business within, the past couple of years.
Oh man, this could be like an hour long conversation on its own.
I feel like we're always pivoting nowadays.
There's so many major things that have happened, and it's a constant evolution, especially in our space. Digital is just changing so fast as well. I've actually made some major shifts to even just internally, the structure of the team is more focused on overall account service and being that go-to partner to our clients, and then the specific unique needs and like expertise, we then find the right partners to be able to execute. Instead of me having a team full of specialists, I would say I have more of a team of generalists. But that allows us to think big picture and then map out the plan and then find the right, specific partner. So that's more of an internal strategic positioning for the business. The hybrid and remote model has just been so different. And I think it was very stressful for me in the beginning to figure out how do I retain the culture of the organization, because our culture was something that I was really proud of. And then all of a sudden it's in Zoom calls, where we used to do fun things like food in the office and beer, and we go out and play, golf together or something. And then all of a sudden it's like, how do we do this? But we found a way. We make it work. We shifted from weekly production meetings to now we do a daily call, a daily huddle, and that's really important to, we do in the morning, and then we do an end of day kind of just how is it going, so that the people that are remote don't feel disconnected from the people that are in the office.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we're kind of also in the same of we've got a fairly new team here for the MJW Group, and so a large part of what I do is trying to figure out how to foster that work culture that we have, and what can we do to elevate it or make it a fun place to work. And because we are all fully remote, most of our team is not located in Charlotte, which is where we are, but most of our team is not located here. So we have our strategic annual planning meeting, and instead of making it just about that meeting and just about figuring out those presentations, people are coming in a day early so we can have a team branding photo shoot, do an escape room, have dinner with each other, and actually like have that one-to-one, like one-on-one that we haven't really gotten to have. We have Zoom calls, but it's obviously not the same. So I think it's super, super important, because I think a lot of people, whenever they're searching for a job, that's what they want to look for, is a culture that they actually appreciate. And it's also how you retain people as well.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So Lori, you and I met, like I started out in the beginning, we met in the Facebook airways, I think. I said LinkedIn, like but that. I think it was Facebook.
It's either one of those two.
One of the two. And actually Lori invited me to, she had a mastermind back in the day. And was it on I think we met in a personal finance group, but your mastermind was about business, right?
Yeah. So I started, I would say, aggressively networking and connecting in the digital space once everything was shut down, because I was a huge networker, and I attended all the networking events in Milwaukee and nationally. And my goal was to just connect with other business owners around the country to see like what's happening where you are, what are you doing, how are you conquering the challenges of the day, because at that time it was like, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. But it was just a fantastic way to build relationships and, again, establish some trust with each other. There's some people that jumped in and it wasn't their jam, and others were like, this is awesome, let's do it every other week. But it was just really important for me to connect, because I've learned, I guess early on in my business, that the last thing you want to do is try to figure out all the problems on your own. So it's all about, building those relationships and, finding others that are in a similar spot as you, or have maybe, walked a couple steps ahead of you or even behind you, so you can help them and just help. I'm just all about paying it forward and helping elevate. And I found that no one else was kind of jumping in and taking this type of an initiative. There was no real forum. It's like, okay, other business owners, how are you handling this now? And it was really good. And I was like really looking forward to the calls, because it was just great to hear the challenges that people were facing and the group think around how to solve that problem. And I've built some amazing relationships, like with you, Jennifer.
Yeah, bars again. And I'm so glad you extended an olive branch, because during that time there was so much going on. There was like the pandemic, let alone trying to figure out if we're ever going to see people again, like, touch them, like, can we hug ever?
Yeah.
And then I remember the George Floyd case was happening at the same time. Then it was like this push for DEI in the workplace, and how to have tough, those tough conversations with your team. And it was just a lot going on during that time. And I was so thankful that you however we connected, can't remember exactly, but we found each other, and I was able to come to those calls every week, because it was helpful to hear how other people are dealing with those things. And fortunately for us, our business grew a lot during the pandemic, because people were looking for, how do I do everything we were doing in person? How do I efficiently and effectively do it, online?
Sure.
And we were already an online, remote distributed team at the time. So our business actually grew as a result of what was happening because of the pandemic. And yeah, I just thank you for that olive branch, because it helped me like realize, like, yes, Jennifer, you don't know everything. You only know what you know. And so it's always great to get exposure from other people who are doing what you're doing, or who have gone further than you, that you can learn from as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you jumped in on my random Facebook or LinkedIn post.
Yeah, and I was also glad we were able to physically see each other in July.
Yeah,
as well.
That was awesome.
So, yeah.
The 10,000 Small Business Program, which was fun. That neither of us, like, we didn't know we were both in it, but yeah, that was a great experience too.
I love it. Surprise.
Right.
Oh, me. So as we wrap up, do you have anything, Lori, that you wanted to offer our listeners? Anything like any discounts or any other things?
One thing that we do is we host a ton of webinars. So as I talked about establishing trust and credibility, we are huge into sharing and educating our audiences. So if you just go to keystoneclick.com/webinar, you'll find all the webinars that the upcoming webinars, and then you can actually subscribe and have access to all of our historical webinars too. So definitely take advantage of that.
I love that. Yeah, where else can everyone find you?
Pretty active on LinkedIn, so just look for Lori Highby. Otherwise, keystoneclick.com. And I've also got 2 podcasts. One is called Social Capital. I interview professionals globally on the topic of networking. And the other one is called A Broadcast for Manufacturers, which Jennifer was just a guest on.
I love that.
Yep, it was fun.
It. Jennifer, do you have anything else to add?
No, I just want to thank Lori for her time as always. And don't ever be a stranger. You have a friend in us at the MJW Group, and we certainly wish Keystone Click much success in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, ladies.
Awesome. Everyone, please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. And we will see you guys next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.